It was a warm summer evening when Diane first met Lucas. She had been invited to a charity art gallery opening by her niece, who insisted she get out more. Diane, at 64, had spent most of her life focused on her family and career. A widow for 5 years, she had long since resigned herself to a quiet, predictable life. Lucas, on the other hand, was a vibrant 27-year-old artist, his energy and passion lighting up the room. Diane noticed him instantly, not because she was looking, but because he stood out in a way she hadn't expected. As the evening unfolded, Lucas approached Diane, drawn by her sophisticated demeanor and the warmth in her smile. They struck up a conversation about art, travel, and life. Despite the age gap, their connection was immediate and profound. Diane found herself laughing, something she hadn't done genuinely in years. Lucas, intrigued by her wisdom and elegance, felt a spark he couldn't ignore. What began as a casual friendship soon grew into something deeper. Diane was hesitant at first, conscious of the glaring age difference and the potential judgment from society, friends, and family. Lucas, however, was persistent. "Age is just a number," he would say, brushing off her concerns with a confidence that was both endearing and maddening. Against her better judgment, Diane allowed herself to fall for him. The moments they shared were intoxicating, filled with laughter, intellectual debates, and an emotional intimacy she hadn't experienced in decades. But love, as Diane knew too well, was never simple. Their secret relationship became a whirlwind of stolen moments and hidden rendezvous. Diane's closest friend, Margaret, began to notice her absences and the subtle changes in her demeanor. "You seem different," Margaret remarked one afternoon over coffee. Diane brushed it off, unwilling to share her secret just yet. The turning point came when Diane's niece, Charlotte, who had introduced her to the art gallery scene, spotted her with Lucas at a small cafe. Charlotte, sharp and intuitive, didn't confront Diane immediately but instead kept her discovery to herself, observing the dynamics between the two. The generational gap was evident, but so was their chemistry. Conflicted, Charlotte confided in Margaret, setting off a chain of events Diane couldn't control. Margaret's confrontation was both brutal and heartfelt. "Diane, what are you doing? He's young enough to be your grandson. This isn't love, it's a midlife crisis." Diane felt the sting of her words but defended her relationship, emphasizing the genuine connection she and Lucas shared. Margaret's disapproval left Diane feeling isolated, but it also forced her to reflect deeply on her choices. As Diane wrestled with her emotions, Lucas's world was not without its own complications. He had been in a long-term, on-again, off-again relationship with a woman his age named Clara. Though their relationship had been rocky, they shared a history that Lucas found difficult to completely sever. Clara, suspicious of Lucas's recent behavior, began to dig into his life, eventually uncovering his relationship with Diane. The confrontation between Clara and Lucas was explosive. "Do you think she can give you what I can't? What's this, some fantasy about older women?" Clara's accusations were laced with both jealousy and heartbreak. Lucas tried to explain that his feelings for Diane were real and unforced, but Clara's words lingered, planting seeds of doubt. One evening, Diane and Lucas found themselves at a crossroads. The pressure from their respective lives had reached a boiling point. Lucas confessed to Diane about Clara's discovery and the fallout. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen," he admitted, his voice heavy with guilt and confusion. Diane, grappling with her own guilt for keeping their relationship a secret from those she loved, felt the weight of their situation like never before. In the days that followed, Diane's world began to unravel. Margaret's disapproval turned into distance. Charlotte, though more understanding, advised Diane to reconsider the relationship. Even Lucas seemed to retreat emotionally, caught between his feelings for Diane and the unresolved ties to Clara. Diane felt herself slipping into a familiar loneliness, one she had fought so hard to escape. But the story didn't end there. One morning, Diane received a letter from Lucas. It was raw, heartfelt, and unpolished, a reflection of his turmoil and love. Diane. It began, "You've shown me a love I didn't think was possible. But I've also hurt people I care about, and I'm lost. I need to find clarity, not just for myself, but for you too. You deserve more than half of me." Diane read the letter multiple times, tears blurring her vision. She understood Lucas's need for space, even if it meant letting go of the one person who had reignited her spirit. With a heavy heart, she wrote back, expressing her gratitude for the time they shared and her hope that he would find the clarity he sought. Months passed, and life returned to a semblance of normalcy for Diane. She rekindled her friendship with Margaret, explaining her perspective and finding solace in their reconciliation. Charlotte, too, came to admire Diane's strength in navigating such a complicated situation. Lucas remained a tender memory, a chapter of her life that, though brief, had left an indelible mark. As for Lucas, his journey of self-discovery led him to new artistic heights. The experiences with Diane and Clara fueled his work, bringing a depth and maturity to his art that hadn't been there before. He eventually reached out to Diane, not to rekindle their romance but to thank her for teaching him about love, vulnerability, and the courage it takes to face life's complexities. Diane's story was one of heartbreak and healing, of love found and lost, and of the resilience that comes with age and wisdom. It reminded her that while love is rarely simple, it's always worth the journey.